Marena Whittle, an Australian basketballer who spent 4 years over at North Dakota College competing in basketball, obviously, for in the US in the NCAA Division 1, and also competing her business degree at the same time. Since then, she's spent the last 3 years competing as a guard in Australia for a number of different teams, currently Knox Raiders, but also competed for Australia in the FIBA World Cup qualifying team as well. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Very excited.
Yeah, awesome.
Good to have a chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And who doesn't love food? And
love food, love chat.
Yeah.
Podcast, no.
Yeah, all good. So obviously I'm sure, a lot of up-and-coming athletes are probably keen to hear your thoughts as well on food and performance and whatnot. But obviously, there's a number of eating disorders and stuff like that are on the rise. So I thought it'd be good to have a chat about your thoughts on food and performance and if it's anything that you've obviously ever been exposed to, perhaps here or in the US. Is it something you've noticed?
Well, I think maybe not so much on the rise. I think it's always been around. I just think that now we're just beginning to talk about it and beginning to talk constructively about ways to resolve it, I guess. Especially with the up-and-coming girls and teenagers and looking at their idols and stuff. They sometimes fall into this, she's super skinny or like she's just fit, who's been working her whole life towards it. But they see the final goal, like the final product. Yeah. It's like, well, how do I look like that tomorrow? So, or in a couple of weeks, and then sometimes they just fall into this mindset of, I've just got to eat less and do more, which is potentially just one of the options. But I think that, dietary and nutrition is something that, at every level we should probably talk about, even in schools, not even within the sporting community. But
has your eating behaviours or patterns changed over time? And you've spent time in different cultures as well, so
very much. Obviously in college, when we're going every single day, we're going from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it's very heavily structured in the US. So college system, there's a complete staff and crew just supporting you as players. So very easy to eat very healthy over there. I remember come my senior year, my last year, I was eating chicken, rice, veggies every single night, steaks every single night. I didn't have any, I wasn't a vegan, vegetarian or anything back then. And all of my snacks were nuts, fruits, grain. It was all super duper healthy, and I was just supplying my body with the best that I possibly could, because you have to perform every single day. And then stepping away from such a structured environment back to Australia, where you kind of have to take care of yourself. There isn't necessarily a team around you all year round. So I remember my first year out of college, I maintained it, and then when I went up to Townsville, I maintained it, and it was a really good group around us. But they've just been working on their body, and they've just been in a really good headspace. You do start to fall into this comparative mindset almost, and I would say that it is.
But it's relevant, right? Because that comparative mindset is what often brings people down a little bit.
Yeah. And sorry, to get to the present day, is that yes, I have found and noticed that even without being fully aware of it, my eating habits have changed. And that's probably in the last year or two, where it's just, you're around strong, successful female athletes who've been in the league for a long time. So it's you're around them and you're going against them every single day, you're seeing them succeed, and it's you almost accidentally fall into this mindset of what are they doing then?
Yeah.
Or you see that they're working out, it's okay, well, I just need to get to the gym, or I just need to get onto court, and it's to a point I found that I was well, what can I actually do differently? Maybe I should just stop eating less junk food, or stop eating less sugars, for example. Whereas I accidentally fell into into the space of okay, I'll eat less bad stuff, but I didn't actually substitute it for good stuff either. Okay. And not saying that it was out of this world, it was just I wasn't eating rice, veggies, chicken every single night again. So I'd probably have a cheat meal once or twice a week. But then I found that, the less that I ate high nutritional value, the less I wanted to eat.
Yeah,
so it was a weird thing to talk, like it's a weird concept, but I just felt myself comparing myself to other really successful athletes, and I was like, well, you know, I want to look like them, I want to be as successful as them. And then accidentally, and almost it happened overnight, I just noticed that I wasn't eating as much. Like I was eating maybe 2 meals a day, maybe 1 meal a day, just like snacks here and there.
Yeah.
And with that, I felt that like I was just tired all the time, I was fatigued, and I just felt that I was completely unmotivated to do anything. So it was only like for a couple of weeks there where I was like, oh, I'm not really motivated, like, I don't really need to eat because I'm not really doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then almost like overnight, I registered like, actually, if I start eating breakfast, lunch and dinner, I'll probably look better and I'll feel better and I'll be able to be more motivated to do this stuff. So so that was probably a super detailed version, but
I think it's important though, because I think we often forget that you still need like a certain amount of energy from food just to be alive. So when you throw in, you know, a highly physical schedule on top of that, the requirements are hugely different.
And like you can find that like your body can sustain, and I think that that's something that people fall into the mindset of, is just, you know, your body can do it, and then, you know, I don't really need to feed, like I don't really need to eat that much because I'll be fine. It's only hours running or something. And not that like that's potentially what everyone feels, potentially that's not what anyone feels, but I think that people don't really place a high enough importance on like sustaining your body. Like they think about today, and they don't think about tomorrow or the next day. So it's like, well, I'll be right, I'll get through today, and I was like, well, how are you going to feel tomorrow? How are you going to feel in a week or 2 months if you just continue like this? So I think it's I found it came from more of like a mental space. I didn't really recognise that it was anything about I didn't really consider that it was like my diet. It wasn't a deliberate eating decision. It wasn't really a decision that I made to stop like feeding myself enough. Almost. But I just fell into it almost. So and I think that's actually kind of what could happen. I'm not sure about many other sports, but I wouldn't find it uncommon in basketball that people just. I mean, it's so competitive. So naturally, you would probably compete against, you know, the girls next to you. Unfortunately.
And it's interesting when you do start to cut out. So as you said, you know, with cutting out some of the, I guess, less healthy type foods, that the caloric value often in those is so huge that if you just take that out, that's a massive deficit that you've then got to fill somehow. And if you haven't sort of, you know, consciously made the effort to do that, then that's a very big gap.
And I think as well as like if you don't think about you feed yourself, like if you feed yourself really good, you're also going to feel better. Your whole body will feel better from it. You won't just like have a bit of energy. So I think people mistake quantity for quality sometimes, and I think definitely in those spaces that people can fall into, they think like less quality but also less quality.
But quantity is very important too when you are doing such big volumes of training and competing. Now I've noticed Vegemite seems to appear pretty regularly in
Yes, absolutely love it.
How did you survive in the US?
Care packages. And it was also quite funny because for some reason everyone sees like a little jar of Vegemite and they see it and they're like, oh, it's clearly chocolate. Like, go ahead, have a go, try some. So that was pretty bad because like when people tried Vegemite the first time and it was like just Vegemite, not on anything, I lost them for the entire time I was there. I was like, but if you try them on some toast, it's okay. So I did survive. Mum and my family came over quite regularly as well, so they just bring us some Nutella stashes. And Tim Tams.
Love it. Balance is definitely good.
Balance is important. Very, very much here for that.
Love it. Nice. Now, how has the team around you helped shape your eating behaviours and sort of health patterns over time?
I think that based on the environment that you're in and like a supportive team, I know that there's been teams where no one kind of talks about it and no one's like, you don't go eat together, you don't really like talk about, you don't work out together, you don't talk about those sorts of things, which is very important as well. But then you have teams where, you know, you go to lunch together, so you see what everyone's eating and like you talk about, well, it's kind of like everything's talked on the surface level. Or like everything is talked about, you know?
Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, but also, and you also need to connect with your teammates as well, so where you can be like, oh man, I'm feeling really like tired today. And they're like, well, what have you eaten? So, there's a lot of care value that is behind it. So, it's, the team is very important, and it's also good to just register that if you are happy talking about it and the team's happy talking about it, or at least you have like a couple close friends on the team that you're happy to go chat to about. I think that's probably the most important thing as far as like shaping it. Also, if I feel like if you're not in you also need to be aware of like the types of language used around it as well, I feel. And even if it's like little, like small little words like just that could reinforce. Yeah. Just reinforcement is very important, because I remember when, you know, you've been in teams that are very supportive, it's like you don't feel like you can't talk about anything. So it's like, I have guys without me, like I feel like I haven't eaten much today. It's like, oh, babe, take care of yourself. Like, you gotta look after yourself. Very important. Versus like, guys, I don't feel good today. And like, oh, well, you're right. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's very small, and it's crummy that it matters so much these days.
But I think it's often the accumulation of those little things too.
Yeah, it certainly isn't just one day. It's like it's a build up always.
Yeah. Like certainly from, you know, in athletics, for example, you often see young girls that will get injured, and so, you know, around puberty, and prior to that point they're naturally tiny humans.
Actually gifted, naturally small, tiny people. Yes.
Yeah, get injured, puberty hits, put on tiny weight, as they should. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're back at training, and a parent even, I've seen this so many times, will say, you used to look so fit.
Yeah, it's those
tiny comments.
Yeah, it's so hard, and it's tough as well, and it's maybe a bit easier in a basketball world because it's a team environment and you need to work towards like one common goal. So it might be a little bit harder when girls do feel like they're by themselves, or like, so it's just kind of like me versus like 1, 2, 3, 4, like in, let's say, swimming or track or anything like that. So yeah, when they don't, and they also have like other girls who are succeeding and they're comparing themselves. Again, like I feel like that's what it just comes down to at the end of the day.
So has there been anything perhaps that a health practitioner or a coach or mentor or anything like that has said to you over the years that perhaps has allowed you to lose that comparative mindset at all? Or?
Yes. I feel like my current personal trainer is really good at it, Kris Blicavs.
Legend.
Yeah, great guy. It's really good because, especially he and I can only use this as my current example, is that we talk about that my body works different to the next person's body, and not that this is any crazy focus, but it's just you need to feel good within yourself, because you can't perform like she can, or like it's your body. You need to succeed as best as you can. And so I think just understanding that and I think this is very important as well for everyone, is that you need to understand that you need to take care of your body, because your body is so different to everyone else's. Everyone's body is completely differently run, differently wired, and everyone's body reacts differently to things. So if one girl doesn't eat calories or carbs for some reason, that works really well for her. I mean, try it out if you think that it might work, but it's also a chance that it might not work, you know. And I think that what's been really good for me with my coaches is I've never had a negative influence as far as eating or understanding. I don't think I've ever had a coach that hasn't understood that concept, that my body needs to work well. Yeah. Not like, oh, you need cheese to move, so you need to eat just like her. It's like, no. I'm a big body, I'm a strong woman, I'm going to eat and provide for myself. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I've been quite lucky actually, and very privileged to not have much negative impact when it comes to that. Like I've been very focused as far as and very positive. But again, just falling into those, and that's a personal thing, falling into those like comparative mindsets. But yeah,
I think that's
good.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like Kris's approach, and whether it is strength and conditioning or nutrition or even mindset, psychology type stuff. Realistically, just because something does work for someone, it doesn't mean it'll work for your body. And I think the main point as well is that, you know, when you focus on your own health too, that's, if you're focusing on that, then you'll get good results for what you can do too.
And it's such a, I want to say, holistic approach. Actually, another thing is one of my teammates in college actually, and even the last couple of seasons, you just hear it when you hear older experienced players talking to younger players. It's like, well, you know, 70% of your success happens in the kitchen. Like 60% of your success happens in the kitchen. Like you can do as many ab, bicep curls, tricep dips, anything, but you're not going to necessarily see the results if that's what you want, and you're not going to feel them if you don't fuel yourself up properly and take care of yourself in the kitchen. People really underplay like nutrition, but then also like taking care of your body and then taking care of your mind as well. So I've found that like yoga is a really good place to go when you're feeling a little bit down, because it's like, it's almost like a religion, I feel, because you just feel so good and you can just focus on yourself and like no one else matters, and you kind of are able to put everything into perspective. And I think the holistic approach, like body, mind, spirit, and then also what you like, all the physical stuff and everything else that's happening. If you just focus on yourself and those three main important things, like if you can be strong and healthy in those three, then nothing else really matters.
No.
Everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, I really love the approach.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have anything food-wise that you utilise as a great recovery meal or snack?
I love, and I've actually gotten into a couple habits night before a game, or like recovery, sorry.
we can do that first. If you
so recovery.
It's more
nuts.
logical.
Love nuts. So nuts I find are great after workouts. Fruits, obviously, bananas, apples. And then I also like to have like a little bit of avocado and then try and get in some sort of like sandwich or something.
Yeah, nice.
So especially after like my heavy lifts,
Yeah.
I find that I'll have, honestly, I'll crush like a bag of nuts, just like in those mixed bags. I'll go across the street, get a coffee, because I like my coffee.
Coffee's great.
Just cause I really appreciate coffee,
Yeah.
and it makes you feel a little bit good. But yeah, so just like fruits, nuts, and then obviously like something quite substantial as well. If I have to.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So before a game, I like to have meats, grains, and vegetables. So I'll always have the night before a game either salmon or chicken, or steak, depending on. But typically, I'll stick to salmon or chicken. I found that I'm like literally obsessed with chicken at the moment, but we're figuring that out. Brown rice and vegetables steamed. Yeah. So it's kind of a routine for me at the moment.
Yeah, cool.
And it has been for a while. In college, I had, because we would go out all the time, everywhere we went, I had to have salmon, rice, and veggies. In the last couple of years, it's been moving towards like. But anyway, so some sort of
is that
meal.
The night before, or is in that's your like pre-match?
That's the night before.
Yeah.
Because I find that if I have a really good, let's say I'm playing Saturday, if I fuel up really well on the Friday, great Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even better Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Pre-game though, I like just avocado on toast.
Yeah, cool.
Or vegetable on toast. Something that's not crazy bulky, but something that's enough to like fill my stomach up and also provide enough energy for me.
Yeah, good. I have noticed you actually love visiting cafes and stuff like that, even on game day.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but some people, you know, with the control aspect, would freak out a little bit that they can't control obviously everything that happens within that meal. Does that ever worry you, or you found that for you personally that's the best approach?
You know, I've risked it a couple times, or once or twice, and then I never went back. With like, oh my god, I can't think of the word. Eggs Benedict. I had like a pulled pork eggs Benedict one time. It was like in the morning, and we had like a night game, so it was like that was going to be enough to chill for my day, and then I was going to maybe have like a little little snack for lunch. Worst decision of my life. Never did that again. But like honestly, everywhere you go, you can just get like a bowl with some chicken or bowl, like, you know, the superfood bowl, the kale, like, and I love poke bowls.
Nice.
They're good.
Yeah.
But I find that anywhere you go, cafes typically these days, everyone has enough safe options almost that you know you're going to get out of it. You're not going to have any sort of tummy upsets afterwards.
Yeah, nice.
So I think that's probably why people freak out a little bit. The control fact.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not vegetarian. I'm not vegan. I don't really have any dietary requirements, so I'm very lucky when it comes to that sort of stuff.
So by the sounds of it, and quite possibly because you've trained yourself as well, your gut can potentially handle a lot more than
maybe.
Yeah, because I know, like, one of the people we've interviewed has rice wobbles on the day off.
Yeah.
Different type of sport, but and obviously that can impact as well. But certainly the more you eat that huge variety, the more is what you can handle.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Yeah, actually, that would be a really good. Didn't even consider that. Maybe I have trained my body to accept all types of food. Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
That's good.
Yeah. Interesting as well.
Yeah.
I feel like, and also I've noticed that when people do try to even jump onto soy milk or something, there's always that like 2-week period. Yeah. Not necessarily like whenever they try to change something. Yeah. It's like it doesn't work for a couple of days, but it's like a couple of days isn't enough because your body's so used to it. Like try like a week or two, and then if after 2 weeks or a week your body is not happy, also correct me if I'm wrong.
That's potentially true for some people. Yeah. There's even studies that they've done on sports nutrition, which I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to sway people either way, but on different sort of styles of eating, and they've done it for like a 5-day period or something that is nowhere near enough to really investigate whether that could be effective.
I've tried different sorts of kind of experiments to see how my body would react after, or like how I could sustain maybe cutting out steak or cutting out red meat and seeing how my body would function off that, or cutting out I've tried to cut out full cream milk. I only give it a couple of days and I'm like, oh no, but I've tried to give it like a week or two, and then I've just noticed that again my body's too used to eating everything, so it doesn't really change anything really.
I think it's definitely it's fun to sometimes play around with other sort of styles or different foods. Personally I don't eat enough Asian sort of infused meals, so like
Thai and Asian are a great time. I'm very big fans of that. Just last time I had Thai food. But certainly trialing other foods I think is important. And I've heard a lot of people try keto and like intermittent fasting and stuff. I know it wouldn't work for me. And everyone's different. If it works for them, that's great. I personally would not, and this is just because I'm biased and fully, I'm completely biased against not eating. But anytime I hear someone talking about, I'm not gonna they're gonna try intermittent fasting, for example, so I feel like that might be a hot topic at the moment.
Yes, and there is some really good research actually out of the AIS even that Louise Burke's doing at the moment. And I do have a contact even who's tried utilising it for different, like the train low state, so where you perhaps don't refuel after an evening session, or you fuel but without carbohydrates, and then in the morning fasted to an easier session. But what I guess is coming out in research is perhaps not as applicable to real life situations. So what are the other consequences of that? And, for a lot of people, it's mood. So you cut carbs and all of a sudden...
Just a pain to be around.
Yes.
It's got a lot to do with it as well. The people like being around you, yes or no, don't do the fast. Or don't do the diet. But people don't take into account that, like, these people are clearly been doing it for a while. They have a purpose behind the diet. They know that it's going to work, or I guess they've figured it out whether it will or not. So and like the sporting aspect, taking that, like people who don't necessarily work out every single day, play sport 3-4 times a week, like play basketball 5 times a week, let's say, and it's like you just try this diet and you have to do your 9-to-5 job. You have to be alert the entire 8 hours. So, and it wouldn't work, I wouldn't think. But to each their own.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing that comes into play when you see someone who's adopted a certain diet and is perhaps successful is that that's, you know, n equals 1 of sample size.
Yes.
So sure, that worked, but that doesn't mean it's applicable to the entire athletic population.
Yeah, no.
You know?
Like, yes, completely. Like, I feel that people just see that it worked for one person. It's like, oh, easy, I'll do that.
So I do definitely love that your approach is so, I guess, holistic, and that you do just eat whatever you think works actually for your body and not just because that great athlete. Kind of.
But ultimately I'm not that prepared to cut major food groups out of my diet at any point, because I don't think that that's the best way for me to succeed. There's a food pyramid for a reason. And I think, especially when I'm talking to younger kids, it's like, you know, it is okay to have a Mars bar. Like it is okay to have a couple of snacks, you know? Maybe not like a crazy amount of snacks every day, but it is okay if you're eating healthy and you are taking everything in. It's okay to maybe have like a little snack on one day, like have a Mars bar or something with after lunch. You know, I don't see the big deal in it. I don't think it's going to cause any pain, any problems, and also I think people just need to enjoy themselves.
Yeah,
so, like,
100%.
Don't see the point in starving yourself or just only eating so strict and not enjoying the small things. So
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We'd love to chat.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a great time.
Awesome.